I have not seen all of you in over a week. The last time I was here was last Tuesday. You guys have been so lucky. You've been with Maddie. I hope you had fun doing your superhero activities. I hope you came up with some amazing names and creations and logos, and I am so interested to see what you've made. So the first thing we're going to start with today is, of course, my reintroduction. You haven't seen me in a week, and there could be new people joining us. So my name is Terra. I work at the Northern Rockies Museum with my amazing boss, Madison, who you have been lucky enough to hang out with. Pardon me. And we're going to open it up with our happy thought jar. Have you guys been using it? Have you been filling it out? I was going to put that I love the weather, but if you live in Hinton and you've looked outside, I'm sure you can agree with me. What are we looking at? I feel like every day that I come on here to talk to you guys, that happens out my window. It doesn't make me very happy. So what thought are you going to put in your happy thought jar? Because I need to think of a new one because, I love the snow, but my goodness. Maddie is live in the comment section for anyone who would like to ask her a question or ask me a question. If I don't see it, she will, and she is more than happy to answer all your questions. So our theme is nature. We're going to learn some really cool stuff today. But first, I know you guys all remember the mystery suitcase. What items were last week? You didn't see it yesterday because you guys got to make butter and check out Madison's mom's farm with all of her amazing animals. I've been out there. If you get the opportunity to go to the Lehman Exchange and check out all the chickens, you can hold them. They're really cool. You can pet them. They're very cool. And the geese are adorable, and they have white bums, and they look like they're wearing diapers when they waddle around. It's adorable. You'll giggle. It's fun. So let's quickly review what our mystery items were. Does anybody remember this one? Any guesses? You guys have had more than a week to think about it. What do you think? It has holes on the back. If I make it this shape, does that help? What if I put it over here and I make this shape? The buttons attach to a shirt, and this is a collar. Cool, right? So you want to fancy it up? You can button on a very fancy collar with beautiful leather. So the next items were these bad boys. Any thoughts? Anybody? These are to sharpen the teeth of chainsaws. Pretty cool, right? This isn't what we use now, but it is what they used a long time ago. I know, it's cool. And I have some new stuff for you. So, new items from the mystery suitcase. Let me find them. The first one I have is this. I know. Let me see if I can hold it back so you can see the whole thing. It's hard to see. Maybe if I put my arm behind it, you can kind of see it with my white shirt. It's the shape of something. What is this thing? This is enormous. What in the world is this thing? Any guesses, you guys? You got any ideas? I cannot wait to hear what your ideas are. And there's a little hook on the top so it hangs, I think. What do you think? Guesses? It's very thin. You'll find out next week. And one more item. Well, it's actually two, but they make up the same thing. What is this? Can you see? I'll put this close to the camera. It has little teeth on it. Yeah, like that. They're both the same. What do you think this is? Do we have any guesses? I will tell you next week. I can't wait to show you. Let me just put these items away. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about Thomas Drummond. Have any of you been to the museum before? I know that some of you have. So let me just pull it up. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, do any of you know what a botanist is? Well, a botanist is somebody who studies and documents plants and animals. And Thomas Drummond, who I've already mentioned, who lived 200 years ago, or over 200 years ago, was the very first botanist to travel through this area, through Hinton, during the winter of 1825 and 1826. So it kind of looks like outside, but with probably a lot more snow. But he would have seen this weather. So, what do you think he would have brought with him to study plants? How did he get here? Do you think he took an airplane? No, airplanes didn't exist, did they? He didn't take an airplane. So, how did he get here? Well, he took a boat. And then, how did he get to Hinton? Did he take a car? No, he didn't take a car. They didn't have cars. He actually had to walk from Edmonton to here. He walked. How long do you think it took him? Think about it. Let's think. If you had to walk from Hinton to Edmonton carrying just a backpack, how long do you think it would take you? Walking at a pretty good clip, but also seeing interesting things and wanting to stop and look at them. So how long do you think it would take? Well, it took him 3 weeks. 3 weeks. I know. So what do you think he brought with him? And how do you think he brought it? You think he put it all in a backpack? No. He had a horse. And he carried all his stuff on his horse, and he walked. He didn't ride the horse. The horse carried his stuff, and then he walked. It's kind of cool. So what do you think he brought with him? Did he bring a computer? No, they didn't have computers. So the only thing he could bring, because he had to go in with the voyageurs all the way to Edmonton, so that he's only in a boat. He can't bring buckets and buckets of luggage. So the only thing that he could bring with him was a pair of snowshoes, important in this beautiful weather, a pen and bottles of ink, because they didn't have pens like ours. He had to dip his pen and write with it, a notebook, a gun, a bale of paper, and an extra pair of clothes. And this is all he had for 5 months while living here in the winter. And probably a knife, because if he killed an animal, he would need a knife. But that was it. So what do we think he saw when he was here? We're going to talk about Thomas Drummond for a second and do like a little mini tour of the museum. What do you think he saw when he was here? Well, he was from Scotland, so there were probably animals that he had never seen before when he came to Canada. What kind of animals do you think he would have seen when he got here that he had never seen before? I've got some furs with me today. I had to hide all of my animals, my real ones, my cat and my dogs, because they kept sniffing these. I was very worried that they were going to hurt them because my cat was incredibly interested in particularly this first one. So I'm going to show you this first animal. What do you guys think this guy is? He's very soft, very soft. He has a little teeny tiny face, and he has a really big tail, and he has little teeny tiny paws. What do you think this guy is? Any thoughts? This guy's a mink. Isn't he pretty? He's a mink. I like him. So he saw him and probably was like, what in the world? Giant rat. But that's not a rat. He's a member of the weasel family. The next one I'm going to show you is my personal favorite. I mean, I like them all. But this guy, I love him. So he is super cool. This is his face. And he has these very cool ears that have little tufts on them. And he has absolutely ginormous paws. Look at these things. They're huge. And he has just this little teeny tail. Just this. This is all he's got. Just this little teeny tail. And he's so soft. So soft. What do you think? He would have the best time outside today. I bet these guys who are out in the forest are their happiest today. So, who do you think this is? Any thoughts? Is it a cat or a dog? This is a cat, and this is a lynx, and they're gorgeous. So, my next guy is this dude. Now, he has a beautiful coat, and he has a long bushy tail that has a little bit of black fleck at the end, if you can see that. And he has a very long snout, and his paws are kind of normal sized. Nothing exceptional about his paws. He has like long, skinny little legs. And he's pretty soft. Not as soft as the lynx, but he's pretty soft. What do you think? What do we think he is? Is he a cat or a dog? What do you think? He's a dog. You can kind of hear them sometimes. They like to sing. and they like to be in groups. He's a coyote. Beautiful, isn't he? And the last fur that I have is the entire reason that Canada opened up as a country. This guy. What in the world is this guy? I'm going to open him right up so you can see him. He's kind of like a big circle or an oval. What do you think he is? Any guesses? He's pretty soft. Pretty soft. What do you think? That's a beaver. Just like you see at the beaver boardwalk. That's this guy. And I'm going to show you. They used to make hats out of these guys. But when you look at a beaver, he has really long guard hairs on the top. How in the world do you make a hat out of this? Well, I'm going to hold this close and see if you guys can see it. Inside, do you see this stuff? It's called the beaver wool, and it's super soft, like super soft. So they would pull all the guard hairs out, mostly women, mostly not getting paid, would pull all the guard hairs out, and then they would use a really dangerous chemical to get all of the soft beaver wool off. And then they would turn that into a hat. They would felt it and then turn it into a hat. And beaver felted hats were the most sought after fashion item, period, for years, for like 100 years. So this is why they came to Canada, was for the furs and for the beaver pelts. So I have a couple of skulls to show you if you're interested, and who isn't. So the first one I'm going to show you is this guy. Any guesses on who this guy is? Look at his teeth. Let's look at his teeth. What do you think? Who is this guy? What's up with him? Why does he have teeth like this? Who is he? Do we have any guesses? I know you have guesses. He is a beaver. That's right, he's a beaver. So why are his teeth yellow? Do we have any thoughts? Why does he have yellow teeth? His teeth are yellow because they have iron in them. And that's how his teeth stay strong, so that he can always chop wood, and his teeth always grow. So he has to chop wood to make sure his teeth don't get too crazy big. Kind of like horses. Their teeth do the same thing. They don't have iron in their teeth the same way. They're not as yellow. And little fact that you can blow the minds of everyone around you. Did you know that squirrels have a very similar skull structure to a beaver? If you put a squirrel skull next to a beaver skull, and we have one at the museum, so when this is all over and everybody gets to leave their house, you should definitely come up, and Maddie and I can show you. It looks like a tiny beaver skull. They're really, really similar, but it's a squirrel, which is super cool. They even have iron in their teeth. Very cool. And the other skull I'm going to show you is this guy. Oh boy. Look at those teeth. Do you guys have any thoughts on what this is? Look at his teeth. What do his teeth tell you? The beaver's teeth told us that he chews on wood, and then he had molars, which tell us that he eats a lot of green stuff. He's probably not a meat eater, because he's not. What does this guy's teeth tell you? Well, his front teeth tell me he was probably pretty old when he died, because he's missing some. So he was probably an old dude. But what about those teeth right here? What do those tell us? Does he have any dull grinding molars for berries and fruit? Nope. He only has sharp teeth, so what does he eat? He eats meat. This guy's a carnivore. Do we have any ideas on what he is? He's a wolf. And we have lots of wolves in our area, and they are big. And this guy lived a long time. So this is a wolf. Very cool, right? And Thomas Drummond definitely saw coyotes and wolves and beavers. And what else do you think he saw? Pardon me. So I have one more item to show you. What is this? Do we have any guesses? This is really old. Like super old. I want you to guess how old it is. I'm not going to tell you. We'll tell you tomorrow how old this is. What animal do you think this came from? This is huge. Like, this is 2 of my heads, probably more. What is this? This should have been a mystery item, shouldn't it? It could have been. This could have come out of my mystery suitcase. What in the world? There's a hole in it. You can kind of see it. Can you see that hole through my shirt? Hmm. Maybe I will make that the mystery item. That's going to be fun. We'll tell you what it is tomorrow. So, back to Thomas Drummond, who saw all of those animals. So, when he left Fort Edmonton to travel to Jasper in the fall, he was on his way, and while he was walking, his horse fell off a cliff and into a river. Now, remember what I told you. His horse was carrying all of his papers, all of his ink, everything. So, the horse, thankfully, was okay. And in fact, Thomas was more upset about all of his papers because do you think he could go to the store and buy more? No. What he had was what he had. So, luckily for the horse, when it fell off the cliff, it actually landed on its back and landed on that gigantic bale of papers that I told you about. So, the horse was fine. And Thomas was so mad that his paper was wet because that's what he used to wrap all of his discoveries in. He would carefully clip a leaf and fold it up into papers and tuck it away so that he could take it back to his university and study it. So he had to walk the rest of the way drying his papers in the air so that he could still have them. And when he reached Jasper House, which if any of you have driven to Jasper, you've seen a big sign that says Jasper House. That's where he was heading. So when he got there, there was so much snow. Do you think it's easy to find plants in the snow? Let's all, if we're in Hinton, look out the window. Do we see flowers? No. Do we see grass? No. Can you see a tree? Sure, kinda. It's not green though. Well, the ones I can see aren't. So, Thomas put all of his efforts when he got to Jasper House to finding animals. But the manager of Jasper House was actually leaving the area for the winter and asked Thomas if he wanted to come with him. But Thomas decided that he wanted to stay in the area by himself to look for more plants and animals. So the manager gave him an indigenous guide to lead him through the mountains and help him out. But his guide Baptiste didn't speak English very well. So not only was he alone with someone that he barely knew, that person couldn't speak English very well, which made communication between the two of them very difficult. And now they were going to live together for 5 months. But together they traveled through the mountains, making all sorts of discoveries as they went. So here's a sad story, though. One day before Christmas, Baptiste invited his brother and his brother's wife to come for dinner. But during dinner, the wife went into labor. She was pregnant and she was going to have a baby. But there were no hospitals back then. So she went outside to have her baby, which was kind of normal back then. But it got so cold that she and her baby died. This made Baptiste and his brother so sad that they left Thomas behind so that they could go bury the wife and the baby. Thomas was now left all alone in the forest with no tent, no sleeping bag, and no food. So, where do you think that Thomas would have stayed if he didn't have a tent? Well, he made himself a little hut by digging into the ground and then taking spruce boughs and putting them on top to make a pit house. And he stayed in this building for quite some time while waiting for Baptiste to come back for him. So, what do you think Thomas ate while he was alone in the woods? Well, he shot grouse and small birds, and he ate whitefish from a lake after he punched a hole through the ice. But he didn't have a fishing pole. So how do you think he got those fish? Well, he would sit and stare through the hole, and when he saw a fish come by, he would grab it. Or he had a stick and he would stab it. But he didn't have a fishing pole. So during his time in this area, he also ate bighorn sheep, white-tailed deer, and bison. Yes, bison lived in this area a long time ago. We haven't seen any in this area in a really long time. So during one of Thomas's adventures, he was almost eaten by a bear. He was digging in the snow looking for plants when he heard grunting sounds. And anyone who has spent time in the bush knows that when you hear that, it's trouble. He looked up and he saw a mama grizzly bear and 2 cubs charging him. Oh boy, not good. So he got up quickly and he started to load his gun. But his gun wasn't like the guns we have today. His gun, you had to put gunpowder and then shove it down the barrel with this pole. And then you had to put your pellet and shove that down. And then you had to put more, shove it down and tap it all in there. And then put on a firing cap and then cock it and then fire. It takes forever. And he's got a bear coming at him. So while he's trying to load his gun, both the bear and Thomas hear barking from dogs. Well, and then a whole pack of dogs came out of the woods and started to charge the bear. And the bear rose up on her hind legs and roared. Scared, the dogs turned around and ran away, leaving Thomas with the bear. And the bear was just about to hit Thomas with her paw when Thomas pulled the trigger on his gun. Click. The gunpowder in his gun got wet, so it couldn't fire. Oh boy. There's the bear. Click. Nothing. Thomas was going to be eaten by that bear when all of a sudden he heard horses. And a hunting party on horses had come to Thomas and chased the bear away and saved his life. In the middle of absolutely nowhere, where there were no people, a hunting party with dogs on horseback comes out and saves Thomas's life. Lucky much? So, Thomas also saw passenger pigeons, which are absolutely extinct now. And if you have a few minutes today, ask your mom and dad for permission to Google passenger pigeons. They were super cool animal, but unfortunately, they're not around anymore. So, do you remember those animals that I showed you before that Thomas totally saw? Well, he had some interesting names for them because he didn't think anyone had ever seen them before, so he didn't know what to call them because they weren't in books. So when he saw a coyote, what do you think he called it? Well, he called it a prairie dog. But what do we call prairie dogs now? We call prairie dogs, gophers in the prairies. But he called coyotes prairie dogs. What do you think he called a mule deer? Do you guys know what a mule deer is? They have big ears, and they boing when they run. They don't run, they boing. He called them long-tailed jumping deer. What about white-tailed deer? White-tailed deer don't boing as much. They have a shorter tail and smaller ears, so he called them short-tailed jumping deer. Kind of on the nose. And then he called swift foxes kit foxes, which is super cute. So, we've discussed the animals, but now we're going to talk about the plants that he saw because he loved animals, but he loved plants, particularly moss. So, what I want you guys to do is pull out your printable. Let me find it here. That looks like this. Okay, if you have our printable, pull out the one that looks like this. And if you don't have our printable, you can do all of this on a couple of blank pieces of paper. So what I'd like you to do first, grab your scissors, and you are going to take these 2 pages, and you're going to cut them right down the middle. Okay? We're going to cut them right down the middle. I'm going to grab my scissors, and we're going to cut it. And we all know how well I cut. Fingers crossed that I can pull this off because straight lines are not my friend. But it doesn't need to be perfect because it's your little book. And look, there's Thomas's smiling face drawn by Madison. So on the bottom of these pages, there are page numbers. So I want you to go on this side and line up 2, and then 3 goes with it. There's 4. And then we've got 5 goes against it, and then 6, and then 7, 8, 9, and we're done. 8 and 9 are in the middle, so there's 8, there's 9. Once your book's together, we are going to fold it in half and make ourselves a little book. And then on the front it says, this book belongs to, and I want you to put your name just like I did. There's my name. This book belongs to me. It's my book. So we were hoping that, we would have some beautiful plants growing. I know that I have my seeds started for my garden, which might be a little optimistic of me considering the weather that we get, but fingers crossed. So I hope that you guys are ready to learn about some flowers and just plants in general. So this is Thomas, and we're going to open it up to the first page. And I've already done the craft, so I'm not going to show you. We're going to open up this new book. So the first thing that I want you guys to do, if I can open this, is I want you to cut this page out. There's nothing on the back, so you can cut it out. There's dotted lines, and then you're going to cut out all these little pieces, and then I want you to glue it together on this page. So let's see what it makes. What do you think it's going to make? This you can do on your own. You don't have to do it with me right now. This could be an activity you work on later, because we're going to make a tree with it. Because what is botany again? Do you guys remember from the beginning? It's the study of plants and animals. So we already did some animals, and now we're going to do the plants. And a very important plant is the tree. So what are the parts of a tree? Well, first there's the leaves. And what do the leaves do? Well, they provide water and nutrients to the plants. Then there's the branches. And the branches create food for the plant. But they also provide food to animals and insects. And they create oxygen for living things to breathe, living things like us. Trees are important for us. And notice how the tree is not only important because it creates oxygen for us, but it also creates homes for insects and birds and other animals that climb the tree to hide. And the stem, which is also a trunk on a tree, isn't it? It provides a habitat for animals and insects, and it supports the leaves. Holds everything up nice and tall, doesn't it? And then the roots. Where are the roots? Do we see them? Can we see the roots of a plant? The roots are below the ground, aren't they? And sometimes the roots are 3 to 4 times bigger than what you see on top. They are amazing. But what do they do? Well, roots move water and nutrients through the plant. And the whole thing, all the trunk and the roots provide wood to build stuff. So the very first botanists, like Thomas Drummond, discovered why plants are important to all living things and the health of the planet. So we're going to draw a line from the parts of the plant, so the parts here, over to the purposes that we have in our little puzzle. So we're going to look at it here. So while I was reading, if you were working on this, pardon me, leaves. Where would you draw your line? Which part of this is the leaves? Oh, it's a backward image for me. It's right here. Those are the leaves, aren't they? So we're going to draw a line from the leaves all the way over. What about the branches? Are they down there? They're not down there. Where are they? They are, oh, this backwards thing's killing me. They are right in there. The branches are what holds the leaves, right? So then, where's the stem? As I said, it's a stem, but on a tree, it's a trunk. At least that's what we call it. So where's that? Well, that's this part, the tall part that holds it up nice and straight, right? Exactly. And then what about the roots? Where are they? Well, they're at the bottom. They're what reach into the ground like tiny straws, sucking up all the nutrients and the moisture from the ground, right? Exactly. So cool. Trees are amazing. So now we're going to go through the parts of a flower. And you have a second printable that has the pictures that I have made our next craft already. So we're going to go through my beautiful picture and go through the parts of a flower. They're a little bit different than a tree, and then you guys are going to make this with me because it's so pretty. So what are some of the parts that you can see? I'm going to hold it sideways so you can kind of see how beautiful this is. This was designed by Madison. She created this whole thing for us to make, and isn't it so pretty? So the first part that we're going to talk about are the petals. Which part of this is the petals? Well, the petals are these things, right? And what do? Why are they so beautiful? And you can, when we make ours, you can color it whatever color you want. This is your flower. You want your flower to be neon green, that's what color it is. And it's fantastic. So I've painted mine pink. Why are these important? What do they do? Well, the petals attract these guys. Well, who's that guy? Well, he's a pollinator. That's a bumblebee. And his job is to spread pollen from tree to tree to tree. Trees or flowers or vegetables. And they pollinate for us. And without them, we wouldn't have all the food that we have. We need these guys. So they love bright. And so flowers tend to make themselves as bright as they can to try to attract the pollinators. So I've made my petals pink. What's the next part? Well, the next part is the sepal. And it's hiding. It's underneath. You see it right here? There's a whole bunch of them under there. And what are they? Well, they are protectors of the flower. Have you ever touched a flower petal and it fell off? And you didn't want to tell your mom because you thought you'd get in trouble? Flower petals are incredibly delicate, and even a small wind could blow them off, and they need some protection. So that is what the sepal does. So then we're going to look for the pedicel. What do you think the pedicel is? Well, that's the stem. Right there. That's the pedicel. Cool, right? I know. You're learning some big words. You're going to be able to like totally rock dinner tonight. So where is the leaf? The leaf's right there. And the camera's backwards, so it's messing me up again. And in your books, we've left spaces for you guys to draw pictures of all of these things. So then we're going to look for the pistil. Okay. It's actually, I'm going to turn this sideways so you can see it. It's this part right here. This is the female part of the flower, and that's actually got a lot of pollen. It's waiting for the pollen of other plants so that it can make more flowers. So then the last part is the stamen. And the stamen are these guys, these little dudes here. They're the male part of the plant, and they have pollen. They're covered in it. So when the pollinator lands, he gets pollen on his legs and his belly and his wings. And then he flies to the next plant, and the pistil's like, thank you very much. And it takes them. It's sticky. So the pistil is sticky, and the stamen are covered in pollen. Cool, right? So on the next page of our book, you guys can draw all your pictures of what we're doing. And when we do our 3D flower, you're going to have examples. So you can totally rock it. And you can draw out all your pieces. So botanists like Drummond took seeds from all over this area and planted them all around the world. So different seeds, though, work in different climates. So a seed that can grow here in Hinton may not grow where it's super warm. And a seed that grows where it's super warm, do you think it would grow here? Like if I planted a cactus seed outside, do you think I'd grow a cactus? Probably not. Like, do we grow orange trees here? No, that seed doesn't work here, does it? No. But can you think of a seed that could grow here? Can you design one? We're looking for a seed that would do really well in a windy climate. So what that means is it's able to travel on the wind. Can you guys think of a seed that maybe you've seen that can travel on the wind? Can you think of a flower that when it goes to seed, you can pick and go and make wishes? Well, that's a seed that travels on the wind really well. What flower is that? Can you think of that flower? That flower is a dandelion, the scourge of everyone who has a yard. But it's also bees' first food, so they are a good flower, and they taste delicious. If you've never had dandelion salad, I highly recommend it. It's delicious. But if I was going to draw, and I'm a terrible drawer, that would be my seed, because it could float on the wind. And if you've never read the book Mrs. Maple's Seeds, it's a lovely story about seeds that can go on the wind. So I want you to design your own seed that can travel well in a windy climate. I want to see them. So when you do it, take a picture and put it on our Facebook page so that I can see. So while Thomas was here, he discovered 80 different plants, and all of them are named after him because that's the tradition. If you're the first person to discover something, you get to name it. And most people name it after themselves because they want to be remembered. So He has plants that are named like Dryas Drummondi because everything was in Latin and it had to sound really fancy. So his last name, which is Drummond, got changed to Drummondi. So yeah, Dryas comes from the word mountain, and Drummondi is his last name. So on the next page, I want you to draw a plant that you could discover that would grow well in the mountains, where it's windy and it's rocky. So what would a plant need where it's windy and it's rocky? What's it going to need? Well, I think that I'm going to draw some rocks. And then I think that the plant can't have a very big stem because if it does, it would blow away, right? I think it should be pretty low. But what do you think is going to hold that plant to the ground? What do you think is going to hold it in? Do you remember what we said? Holds that tree up nice and tall and is sometimes bigger than the entire tree, 3 times bigger, sometimes more. Remember what we called them? We called them roots. So I'm drawing, in my terrible way, a little flower bush. A little bush. Can we see it? There's my mountains with big roots and little purple flowers. Because I think he should have big roots and just be a little plant. But he could still be pretty and have flowers, right? Because I want him to be pretty. So now we have to name our plant. So on the next page, on page 12, we're going to use the chart to name our newly discovered plant. So we're going to choose a Latin name and then your last name. So in English, I want my plant to be called Short because I made him little. So that's Brevis. And then my last name is Virch. So he's going to be Previs Virchus. What's your plant's name? So mine is going to be Brevis Virchus. I don't know what that sounds like. I think it sounds funny though. So there's mine. I cannot wait to hear what you guys have for your plant names. So there's our book. And if you have any questions about plants or plant parts or stories you want to know more about Thomas, put a message in the comments. We would love to answer you. So our last project is going to be our 3D flower. So go ahead and grab those printables for me so that we can make our flower together. So I've already made one, but we are going to make it together. So the first thing we're going to do, pardon me, I have a tickle in my throat, is we're going to start with this page. And if you don't have the printable, you can draw a pollinator, any pollinator that you want, because it's not only bumblebees, it's not only honeybees. It's also, what's another example of a pollinator? You guys think? What's another example? It's coffee time. What do you think? A butterfly? Absolutely. A butterfly and maybe hummingbirds? Hummingbirds? Absolutely. Anything that takes pollen from one flower to another is a pollinator. Pretty cool, right? So we're going to start with this one. And we are going to color our pedicel. You can color it any color you want. This is your flower. Now, this page we're not cutting, so we want you to try to stay in the lines, okay? So we're just going to quickly color it. You can have pencil crayons, you can have crayons, you can have markers, whatever you want. And we're going to quickly color this. Okay. And there I've colored it. And then when you have time, I want you to color your bumblebee. He's not important right now. We're going to build our flower together. But you can color him whatever you want. On this one, I made him black and yellow because, but if you wanted your bumblebee to be green and orange, I think it's awesome. He can be whatever he wants. He can be a bumblebee that's going to be a member of the X-Men team if you want. We did superheroes last week. He could be Super Bumblebee. Okay, So we're going to put that one aside now. And we have this gorgeous page. And we're going to color each and everything on here. But we're going to cut them out so you don't have to color within the lines. So I'm going to stick with the same color for my leaf that I colored my pedestal. So I'm going to color my leaf right now. And as I said, you don't have to stay in the lines because we're going to cut all this out. So I hope you have your glue stick and I hope you have your scissors. So did everybody have a good Easter? Did you get to eat lots of delicious food? In our house, our tradition is Italian Easter buns that bake with a colored egg in the middle of a braided bun. And then they have a sweet icing on top. And they are, sorry for my phone, guys, they are absolutely delicious. So that's our tradition. Do you guys have Easter traditions that you got to do? So I've colored my leaf, and now I'm going to color my sepal. And it's a green too, only because that's what I want it to be. But again, this is yours. Color it however you want. And you don't have to stay in the lines because we are cutting it out. Pardon me. I've got quite the tickle in my throat today. So we're going to give this a color. Have you guys found any new board games to play? We have played every single board game that we have in this house. And we're starting to get bored with them. So if you guys have any suggestions about different board games that we could play, that would be awesome. We tried charades. It didn't go well. We tried Pictionary. Nobody seemed to really like it. We play Monopoly, and it doesn't end in tears, so thumbs up to us for that. When I was a kid, Monopoly usually ended in the board going flying because my brother would accuse me of cheating. And then someone would cry and the game would be over. How about you guys? Do you play Monopoly in your house, or is that one of those games that no one's allowed to because they lose their temper? I also like to play cribbage, but I haven't taught my kids how to play that game yet. Maybe I should. That could be fun. So what are we coloring with today, guys? Do you have any really cool coloring? Anybody coloring with oil pastels or anything interesting? I'm just using old school pencil crayons, which my American friends call colored pencils, but we call them pencil crayons. There's lots of things that other countries use different words for that than we do in Canada, like the word toque. We all know what the word toque is, don't we? I bet Thomas wished he had a toque while he was stuck here in the winter. Your mom always cheats at Monopoly. Yeah, I could see your mom being a giant Monopoly cheater. We have the Monopoly game that doesn't have a banker, it has a debit machine. It's like Visa cards. It's impossible to cheat. Everybody can see what you're doing. That would take away the fun. Maybe we should buy her that version. And then she couldn't cheat. So I'm coloring away. I'm trying to be quick. I'm terrible. There, I've colored it. Yay! So now we're going to color the petals. And there are 5 petals. And they can all be the same color. They can be rainbow. This is your flower. Color it however you want. My first one, I colored the brightest pink that I could. What color do you guys think I should do? I'm going to ask my kids too. They're in the room. What color should I do my flower, Brennan? What color should I color my flower?
Orange.
An orange flower? Orange is my favorite color. It's the best color. It is. You can disagree with me. That's fine. But I still think it's the best color. So I'm going to color every petal orange. So what color are you guys going to make your flower? I can't wait to see them. While we're coloring, have you guys given any thought to those mystery items that I showed you? One kind of looked like hairbrushes, didn't it? But I wouldn't want to brush my hair with those. They were sharp. I think I forgot to tell you that when I was showing you the items. They were actually pretty sharp. Does that give you a hint? Or does that make it more confusing? Still coloring. What do you think it's easier to color with? Markers, pencil crayons, crayons? Is it easier to paint?
Or Sharpies.
Or Sharpies? Is it easy? Do we like Sharpies? So have you guys been watching any great shows? Any good TV shows on Netflix that I should definitely know about? Yeah, Brennan likes to watch the show Spirit. She thinks that's awesome.
I like to watch Deep.
Oh, Temperance likes watching Deep. Deep is good. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of Fuller House going on in this house.
The big show show.
Oh, yeah. The Big Show show. That gets watched too.
A lot.
A lot. And then I started watching The Tiger King. Not for kids.
Yeah.
Not for kids. And I watch a lot of news. Maybe I shouldn't. The news isn't very good. How's everybody's quarantine and self-isolation going in this weather? It's not so bad, is it? It's pretty easy to stay inside when it's miserable out. But is everybody having fun? Are you doing things that are keeping you busy? I know some of you enjoy baking. I get to see some of your baking pictures, and they look absolutely lovely. So what are you baking? I made bagels the other day, but for some reason the holes didn't stay. So they were like bagel buns. They're good, but if you saw them, you wouldn't be like, that's a bagel. So I've colored all my petals poorly. I'm sure your coloring is way better than mine. And so now I'm going to color the pistil. What color should I do that? My last one I made it orange. But see, I have a giant bucket. So I have a lot to pick from. So what should I do? Purple? Yeah, let's go purple. See if it's in here. Nope, not that purple. This one. So what did we think of all of Madison's Madison's animals yesterday out at her mom's farm? Pretty cool, right? And did your butter work? Genuinely curious if your butter worked. Mine did. And I ate it on one of my bagels. I like making homemade butter. Quite often I make mine in my blender. But you can absolutely make it in a jar. And do you guys remember one of the first mystery items that I showed you? Do you remember which one it was? Showed you a butter press. Because when you made that butter, you probably ended up with like a little ball. I know I did. And then you want to press it to get as much of the buttermilk out of it so that it's not sour and it's not bitter. And so you would put it in that butter press. And then if it had a design on the top, you could press it and it would have your image imprinted on it, which is pretty neat. So I have almost everything colored. The last thing I have to do are the stamen. So what color should we do the stamen? Blue? If I can find a blue. Let's do blue. So we're going to color our stamen. And then once we get all the pieces colored, what are we going to do next? What do you think? Yeah, we're going to cut. And I'm sure that you all remember cutting is not my jam. I'm getting better. I've been cutting face masks and I've been cutting other projects and fabric and paper, and I had to do my first 3D flower. My cutting is getting better. Practice is helping. Practice makes perfect. It's true. If at first you don't succeed, try. Eventually you'll get it. So I'm going to grab my scissors. I have everything ready to go. And so the first thing that I want to cut out is the sepal. So let's get cutting. So try to cut on your lines. Just do your best. This is your flower. If you cut funny and there's a wonky flower, that's okay. It's your wonky flower. I'll just call it the Terra flower and everybody will know. Oh, well, Terra cut it, so that explains it. So we're going to cut all the way around. Take your time. You don't have to be as quick as me. This video gets logged in and saved, so you can watch me again and again and again if you want to. Who would want to? Did you know we also have a YouTube channel? I know. Who knew? We are the Northern Rockies Museum on YouTube, and right now we are posting all of our Quarantrain videos. And then once this is over, we're going to be posting all the fun stuff that we do at the museum. We're going to be posting goofy videos because we're kind of goofy in a good way, but we still are. And we're going to be posting all of those fun videos, all of the events that we do. So even if you can't come to one of our events, you can check out our YouTube channel and watch it like you were really there. So hopefully we will get that up and running really soon. I hope that all of this ends quickly and everyone stays safe. And yeah, I know this is hard, guys. That's why we have the happy thought jars and why we want to do this with you guys so we can hang out and have a little bit of fun. So we're going to grab our glue stick and we're going to put glue on the back of this. And then where do you think we're going to glue it? On here. Down here on top of the pollinator? Is that where I should put it? No. I'm going to put it, backwards camera's killing me. I'm going to put it right there-ish. Again, this is your flower. If you want to put this down, I don't know, down at the bottom, that would be an interesting plant. Maybe it's a plant that you would find on Mars. Maybe it's backwards land plant. I don't know. It's your plant. You can do whatever you want. So I got my fancy purple glue stick again, covered the back in glue. I'm going to glue her down. See? Easy peasy. So now I'm going to cut off the leaf. So I want you to cut out the leaf with me. And remember, you didn't have to be careful when you were coloring because you're going to cut along the lines. So you didn't have to color within the lines because you're going to cut within the lines. Have any of you guys done dress-up dinners yet? Where your mom tells you, or whoever you're hanging out with while you're stuck at home, that you have to dress up fancy for dinner one night? We haven't done it yet, but I've seen people do it, and it looks awesome. Everybody's in fancy ball gowns and tuxedos, and it looks really fun. So where should we put this leaf? Should I put it up here like a hat? No. I'm going to put it to give my pollinator some shade. Give my pollen. Look, the flower has a second job. It's giving the pollinator some shade. And yes, you can laugh and laugh at my inability to figure out this backwards camera. Now we're going to cut out the petals. There are 5 of them, but we're going to do something neat to them because I'm sure you noticed on the flower that I made before, it kind of popped off the page. But paper's flat. So how in the world did that happen? Well, Maddie loves paper craft. And she knows how to do this, and she showed me the trick. Because we are actually going to curl it. So when you get your first one done, I'm going to take your thumbnail and run it down the middle of the paper, just gently. And look what it does. It curled. And then we're going to flatten out the bottom tab. There's like a little whoop at the bottom of your petal. We're going to just give that a quick little fold, put glue on the bottom, and glue it on top of our sepal. And we're going to do that 5 times. Okay, so a little bit of glue. And then I'm going to glue it right into the middle. And then look how it pops off the page. And we're going to do it 5 more times so we can make this gorgeous flower. But I've been learning to embrace paper crafts. I have been teaching myself how to do different rolled and folded flowers. This actually inspired me. So I'm curious, after you guys figure out how to do this, what's it going to inspire you to do? Are you doing any cool crafts? What kind of crafts are we up to? We have so much time during the day now. What are we up to? Anybody learn how to finger knit? Anybody learn how to embroider? How about crochet? That's my favorite. I like to crochet. Anybody, what do we got? Anything? There's my second one. It's coming. It's coming. Let's see. Here we go. And what have you guys been up to? Are you getting outside? Anybody started their seeds for their garden yet? If you have, what are you planting? I'm always curious. Since we're talking about plants, what are you planting? Yesterday, I found purple snap peas. I know. Super excited to get those in the ground. I love snap peas. They're my favorite because you can just sit in the garden and pick them and eat them, and they are delicious. They're like a happy little pop in your mouth when you eat them. They're so good, especially when they're warm from the sun. And I also bought pink corn. I have never had luck growing corn. If anybody's parents or uncles or aunts or grandparents, whoever you're hanging out with, if any of you have had luck growing corn in Hinton, I would love to hear what you did and what your trick was. So remember, you're just going to run your nail along the bottom so that it curls out. Now, if you want to do it the other way and you want it to curl up, okay. Again, this is your flower. You do what you want. You do what you want this thing to look like. Because this is your flower, not mine. I give you tips on how I know how to make the flower, but your way might be better, or at least definitely better for you. So you make this look how you want it to look, not the way I tell you. So there's my last petal. It's the last one. Here we go. And again, down the middle. A little bit of glue on the bottom. And if I'm faster than you, don't worry. Press pause. I'll still be here. Give it a pause. You can come right back to me. So there it is. So the next thing that I want us to cut out is the pistil. Do you guys remember what the pistil was? What's its job? The pistil is the male part of the female. Ooh. The pistil is the female part of the plant that makes new flowers. So that's this guy. Now, I want you to cut all the way along the outside. Don't cut them in half. Don't cut them in half. Only cut around the outside. They kind of look like two chicken legs, don't they? They kind of look like two drumsticks attached. Did anybody have turkey this weekend for Easter weekend? I didn't have turkey. I cooked one last night, and we're going to eat it for like the rest of the year because he's huge and there's so much meat that came off of him. And I've already made my chicken broth so I can make turkey soup. I said chicken broth, turkey broth. So I can make turkey soup, and I'm probably going to make turkey pot pies. So if anybody has a really good recipe for turkey pot pies, I would love to hear it because I love new recipes. So now that you have it cut out, we're going to fold it along that line between the two chicken legs. And what I did, and you don't have to, but this is what I did, I put some glue at the top of this guy, and I just pinched them together like that. And then I folded out the bottom a little bit, like kind of made them kind of fat like that, and I put some glue right on the bottom, right where we folded, and then I glued it in the middle of my flower. So he sticks up because the bottom part is actually kind of like a bulb. So I kind of tried to make it look a little more bulbous, like that. So what's the last part that we need? Our flower's not done. What does he need? Well, he needs his stamen. Otherwise, he doesn't have any pollen, and that pollinator is not going to be coming to see him. So we have 3 strips, and we are going to cut out those 3 strips. Okay? So let's give those a cut. Are you guys reading any new books? Are you doing anything with books? What's your favorite book to be reading? Temperance is reading Diana, the Amazon Princess, which is about what superhero? Who's Diana? Wonder Woman. So she's reading about Wonder Woman. And Brennan is reading about E. Aster Bunnymund from the Guardians. So that's actually the Easter Bunny, isn't it? So for the stamen, now this part threw me because I'm not great at this. But you're going to run your finger along it, both sides, so it curls up. And if you want, you can even curl it by hand. So you can kind of quill it, if you know what quilling is. So you can roll it so that you kind of get that curly end. Can you see it? There we go, like that, okay? Or your stamen can stand straight up, or your stamen can be in zigzags. It can be whatever you want. Okay? So we're going to do that to each one. And then you're going to fold it in half so it's like a V, and you're going to put glue at the bottom of the fold, stick it down in there. Now, if you put your stamen on first and then your pistil on top, that's cool. If you put your stamen down and you're like, yeah, I'm good, I don't like that pistil, I'm going to draw a pistil, that's cool too. It's yours. You do whatever you want. Right? This is our art. And this one's gorgeous. This one's pretty to share. I would say hang it outside so everybody can see it, but because it's paper, it would probably melt. Sorry, I dropped a stamen. There we go. It would probably melt. I have gone over an hour. I am very sorry, you guys. So I'm going to do one more stamen. There's another one to go after this, but I don't want to keep you longer than I have to because I know we all have homework. How is school going? Are you guys doing well? Are you having fun? Do you get to see your teachers? I hope so. I hope you get to see your teachers on Zoom. I hope you're not having any trouble with math or anything. Okay, so there is my stamen, which I just kind of dropped a little because I'm trying to hurry. And there. So you're going to do 3 of those. You're going to color your pollinator. You're going to do your tree puzzle. And I hope you guys had fun. I hope that you learned something about what botany is, what a botanist is, how to name a plant if you're the first person to discover it, what some of the local animals were. And before you go, last look, Maddie will tell you tomorrow. What is this? I want to see guesses, you guys. So, as always, if you liked our video, please give it a like, give it a comment, share it, tell your friends, head over to our YouTube channel, give us a like, subscribe. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it helps out the museum immensely. We truly appreciate all of your support. We miss seeing you guys in person. We love seeing your comments and pictures of what you've made. So please keep sending those in, and we will see you all tomorrow. Make sure you're wearing clothes that you can get messy in and that you have a clear space because you're going to be painting something and we don't want to make a mess at your house. So we will see you all tomorrow. So much love. Stay safe. See you soon.